The Parliament recently passed the Online Gaming Bill 2025. Now, the law puts a complete ban on online gaming, which involves money, but it also seeks to actually promote and regulate esports and other social games. Now, to talk more about it, we are joined by Mr. L. Badri Narayanan. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much,
And,
Anshu.
sir, to begin with, I just wanted to know, what is this law?
Thank you, Anshu. And very interesting and very sudden, as you can see. This is an interesting law which has come out, which is called, like you said, the prevention and regulation of online games. The law basically provides for three categories of games. One category is esports, one category is called casual social games, and one is called online money games. These online money games, as you know, are games which are played either for skill or for chance. It could be card games, it could be quiz competitions, it could be chess, it could be anything where you stake money for the purpose of playing a game. And the law basically is prohibiting completely this category of games. So they say that this category of games is not good for the social fabric of our society. It promotes and encourages taking of money by our youth. And other social harms that it causes, and also other harms that it creates. And so it proposes to ban or prohibit such games from being played in India. Other two categories are categories that India feels is good for the nation, because it builds capabilities for online games which could be played across the whole world. So esport is one which is getting promoted. These are games which are sometimes now recognized by associations like the Olympics. You have gamers from across the world who come and compete on these games. There are elaborate games that are played, that could be strategy games, that could be football games, or any of these games. And then of course you have these casual games, a chess game played not for money, just for fun, something like on chess.com, where you're playing against different players. So those two categories of games are very much protected, and they're getting regulated by an authority, while the first category, which is online money games, is completely prohibited.
Okay, so to understand the industry, how big this industry was, I mean, in terms of the users and the number of apps that we had, the investment.
So this industry has been growing for the last 10 plus years. Okay. We have companies like Dream11, we have companies like Play Games, My 11 Circle, Ace 23, and a whole host of companies who have come in the last 10 years. This really picked up about 10-12 years ago, when it became easier for us to be able to transact online with money and games. Just to give you a context, this industry probably received close to about 23,000 crores of investment over the last 10 years. It's given very good returns to the investors, because it was one of the sunrise sectors of our technology space. It had upwards of about 2,000 startups doing a variety of different types of games and supplying various services to these games. It was contributing about 7,000 crores in terms of advertisements and sponsorships for various sporting and other causes. And probably it had more than 500 or 600 million users online playing these games over a period of time. So fairly large and a very well entrenched industry which grew over the last 10 years.
So talking about this law, do you think that it was addiction, or it was basically about the users that the law came in, or was it actually true that money laundering or illegal activities was also a major concern here?
I think the major concern was illegal betting apps. I think one thing was growing is that there were legitimate businesses who had guardrails, who had responsible way of gaming. You must understand, all of this came out as entertainment, right? You know, on Diwali we all play cards. On certain occasions during IPL, you want to kind of make things a little bit more spicy and entertaining. So it was really from that perspective that this industry came up, to support that entertainment perspective. It was never an industry to make money. But I think what ended up happening is that there were lots of apps and players who kind of rode this initial work done by good companies to build out what I would really call as things which were fraudulently impacting the players. There were apps which used to take money, give a perception that you're winning, and then take all your money away. I think that really caused a lot of strife among the consumers, and that kind of, at some level, I think it became so big that the government felt that that was going to have a big impact on this. Yes, there was an aspect of addiction. I cannot say no to it. But I think the real cause of this has been the fact that they have not been able to crack down on these illegal betting apps, which used to come in as legitimate businesses.
But so don't you think that betting has always been there, and for people who are into it, there are links that are shared on WhatsApp or Telegram, or there are other ways also. Don't you think it will actually make these people move to certain illegal platforms?
So I've always been a firm believer that prohibition is not the way to deal with things like this, even if you consider them to be social evils or social harms. For the reason that if someone is addicted to this or has got a tendency to play this, by closing off legitimate channels for that person to play, you are going to force him because you have a tendency to try and play these games. So I do feel that there will be a proliferation of these illegal bodies who may try to play on the psyche of the consumers. So it should have been done in a regulated way, which allowed for the people who are vulnerable to be taken off the system and for them to be able to do so. But probably now the government will look at how to kind of protect the consumers and parent them. But I do understand, and I agree with you that it's possible that, and it's probably happening, that this has opened up to more illegal links and betting apps and applications and companies targeting consumers over mediums that are more difficult to track down.
So as you just mentioned, what about consumer protection? What are the measures under the law that will be taken now?
The biggest consumer protection has been to ban it. Okay. The second thing is there have been very high penalties and imprisonment which is contemplated under the law. So anyone who is not following this can be fined up to 1 crore and there can be 3 years or more of imprisonment that the person could lead to. So what are the categories that we are really looking at? We are looking at 3 categories of people that it tries to capture. One are the actual companies that are offering these games online. Okay, these could be the platforms or any intermediary who's helping out with respect to this. The second would be celebrities and advertisers, anyone who's carrying these ads and promoting this, or there's a lot of celebrity promotions happening in between of different apps. And the third categories are banking and banking channels. Anyone who's transacting with these banking provisions are really going to be affected. So anyone who contravenes, these 3 categories of people who contravene this law are likely to face very stiff fines and penalties and of course imprisonment. And they also have provided for higher fines in case you are a continuous offender, that is you do multiple offenses. So the real thought process is that you want to control this and protect the consumers by being able to regulate these categories, impose fines and penalties, and of course I'm sure government will come out with like ads and other things to kind of protect consumers going forward.
So it also talks about arrest without warrant. What about it? Like
Yeah, so I think that those are certain aspects which are little bit, I won't say extreme, but probably what the government feels is necessary to be able to curtail. One of the things that it wants to do is that our big problem, of course, is our bail system and arrest, which needs you to have a warrant and a charge. Sometimes these apps open and close so quickly, by the time you get your warrant, it's probably disappeared. You must understand that the internet is a boundary-less medium. Okay, so we don't know who is going to offer, when, and how. So I think we'll need to, of course, make our IT infrastructure better. I think the police with the IT cells will have to work much harder. So government probably felt that to be able to provide people to disappear, waiting for a warrant to be formally issued before you can go and then do so, is going to be there. Now it has a downside.
Okay.
The downside being that there could be innocent people who could also be victims of something like this. So any law which has got no guardrails or is uncontrolled in terms of its scope can be used to kind of in an abusive way in certain circumstances by a certain set of people. So that is one concern that is there. But I think the government has kind of thought that for it to be able to make sure that this is completely gotten rid of, it probably feels that arrest without warrant is probably the way to go.
So the consumers or the users are not supposed to actually fear or feel afraid of anything.
So one of the important things, as you would have heard, the IT minister as also the IT secretary and others saying is that this law does not make the consumer pay any penalty or fine or go for imprisonment.
They're the victims.
Yeah, they are the victims. They've said that many times. Okay, I'm not fully convinced of it, but leaving that aside, it does not contemplate anything on the user. So the user going on an illegal app today faces no problem. Okay, the illegal app or the promoter of the illegal app or the mediums through which illegal apps are operated, all of those will fall under this. But by itself, an illegal app will not be, the player, the gamer will not be affected. So at some level, it kind of protects that person, assuming that that person is vulnerable or is not in a position to be able to fully appreciate the dangers of it, while the onus is probably fully on the operators.
But sir, what about the money that the user has actually put into the app, and do you think they'll be able to refund it or get the money? Is it, or there is going to be a long process in that?
So when I worked with many companies in this space, and these are some of the questions that we've been grappling with and kind of find answers to. So a few things. One is even before the law was kind of brought in, after the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha passed the bill, many of the companies, especially legitimate companies, stopped taking deposits and allowed for free withdrawal of the money from the platforms. So as of now, at least some of the responsible gaming companies have put a stop to the operation. You cannot play on any more games on their site except for social games without any money, and it allows for the depositors and the players to be able to withdraw their money entirely. Now that's the process that I think many of them are following. It's a very responsible way of doing it. Now even then, some of the players may not take it out. It's probably going to be kept in the escrow for these players to be returned whenever, if and when they kind of come back to it. One of the key things is going to be, I think there is still a lot of discussion with RBI and other banks to make sure once the law comes in, there should be no harassment for the players to be able to take the money out. As you know, for example, the banks cannot transact anymore with these companies, and therefore they are having discussions with the banks to make sure that while there will be no playing and winning amounts being declared on these platforms, the deposit amount, I think, would kind of be allowed to be withdrawn by the players. Now, I don't know about the illegal apps, but definitely with respect to the legitimate businesses, this is what we have recommended and they're putting in place.
So how the government plans to ensure that banks and fintech companies monitor these apps now?
I think there will be a lot of owners, there will be a lot of circulars issued by the RBI and the ministry to the different banks. The banks probably will verify for what purposes are they going to be there. So let's kind of take how you will kind of go about it.
Okay.
What are the places from where you're going to be downloading these apps? Leave WhatsApp and Telegram aside for a minute. It's probably going to be your app stores. So the first thing that's going to happen is that the app stores will be stopped to take on these apps, because you're not allowed to aid or abet the playing of these games. So the first thing that you will do is to tell them, please don't take it. The second thing would be that whenever a payment is being made by the bank, they'll have to have a legitimate way of being able to determine to which platform are these making payment. In the past also we have done so. If you're making payment outside India, you're making payment for crypto, you're making for certain payment for other things, the banks have an ability to track. The banks probably will do KYCs with the companies to kind of make sure that they have an idea of what the money is and who is it going to. Okay. Once that is in place, the chances of the money kind of moving to apps which are going to play on these are going to be there. Now, I know many apps also have their own wallets, they have their own money programs. I think those will have to get monitored on a case-by-case basis to see where the money is going further from there.
Because there are in-apps, a lot of...
there are lots of in-apps and things like that. So the key thing is that how that's going to get played out over a period of time. But I think the thing would be the banks at least will try and do their level of check. The app stores will do their level of check, and others will do their level of check. And probably companies like WhatsApp and Telegram will probably have to put in place some kind of a mechanism of being able to make sure that there are no illegal apps being promoted on their platform, which is a little bit more difficult because they are
Yes.
encrypted end to end for the safety of the people. But I think if there's any kind of complaint or any reporting of this, they probably have to take some steps to be able to monitor that and put in place. So this is going to be something I do expect this law over the next few months, few years to really develop out, and we are likely to see a lot of innocent intermediaries getting caught out in this law more than the actual ones who are committing illegalities.
But talking about the implementation, don't you think it's easier said than done? Do you see that there would be legal challenges?
See, I've been working with this tech sector for many years. I've worked across different types. It's always very difficult to monitor and implement what is happening on the internet or in the tech world. The way it is structured, it is not easily amenable to do that. Putting guardrails and putting certain best practices and putting certain things is an easier thing to do than to kind of prohibit completely, because then people find ways of being able to get around it. I do feel that there will be a lot of challenges. One of the reasons why we kind of gone to this level of banning is because sometimes the government feels it's unable to be able to stop illegal activities from happening. So it wanted the power, wanted to kind of go after this. I think time will tell as to how well the implementation has been. But the government feels that this is a good way for them to start the implementation process.
Talking about esports, if you can just share more details at how the government plans to promote and regulate esports, and if there are gray areas in that.
Yeah, so I think esports is again a very interesting category of games. As you know, esports kind of has strategy games, it has role-playing games, it has games related to sport. So especially games like FIFA, games like NBA and others are very popular among the children and for playing. So few things. One is the government expects that these kind of esport games to keep increasing over a period of time, and it feels it does not have the same addictive features of putting money in and taking money out. That's the thought process around it. I think to a large extent, I think government probably is right in saying that esports is an interesting category by itself. Where I do have a problem is that esport also has a lot of issues. Okay, one, it's very addictive. Okay, you know that PUBG was banned because of what it was causing for this. So I don't think the esport people should think that they are all safe. One, it's extremely addictive in its own way. Second is, I have known of situations where children have purchased items on an esport game. Okay, so for example, when you go online, you want special weapons or special powers, you do end up this thing. There have been cases where people have spent tens of thousands of rupees buying because the children don't know better. The credit card is linked to the game and they just keep going on and buying it. And the third thing is that there could be content which is not necessarily appropriate for children. Okay, so all of these three categories are also going to be important. So one of the things that the government is proposing is to have an authority which is going to monitor the types of games which are going to be played out by these people, and maybe try and monitor some of these issues. So if there are complaints about illegally getting the children to buy things on these games, or some content which we think is not appropriate, those can be kind of brought to the notice of an authority. I believe the authority has just been set up. And so I think that's how the government feels like going about it. But otherwise, esport has got certain benefits. It's a strategy based, it improves the cognition and analytical skills of people. It works on problem solving, which is very important for children. As opposed to just consuming some content, it kind of gets them to find ways of being able to solve problems. So I think those are good. And the Olympics and certain associations do recognize some of these to be interesting categories to play with.
The social games that you're talking.
The social games and the esport games, yeah.
But so in comparison to other countries, do you think that there could have been some other alternative rather than having a complete ban on online gaming?
I've been a big believer that there should have been regulation rather than prohibition. To be honest, the companies were in touch right up to a few weeks before this law came in, where they were talking about self-regulating bodies. They were talking about, the Métis coming and regulating them. Some of them had put their own guardrails with respect to how these games should have been played to make it less of betting or gambling and more of skill and more of analysis. There were lots of discussions around how to kind of safeguard the youth and people who are playing on those games. For example, if they were losing money continuously, how to stop that. If they're putting more money than they could, how to stop that. No credit-based payments, okay, it's only upfront payments. So a lot of things that the industry was evolving and doing. Now, if you look at other countries, if you take, for example, UK has had a gaming act, from 1845. Okay, and then they've been kind of regulating these games. They were gaming after 2005. It regulates and provides for how it needs to be provided for. US, for example, has got regulations around it. Okay, fantasy sports. Canada has got some very good regulations around this.
Yes.
I believe the Australian regulations are extremely good. They were one of the later ones, and therefore they spent more time thinking about what could be. Then sports and gaming is a big part of Australian culture. So I think the ideal way would have been to kind of take some of those learnings, work with some of the authorities from those countries and see what's working, and then to be able to bring some of those. And if they had regulated it, I think they would have done two things. One, you have a responsible gaming environment in India, and then you kind of cover off the people who are not there. You move people to play on these portals rather than other portals, one. And second is, there could have been a sunrise sector which is protected. It will give you good returns. Almost 2 lakh people are employed directly or indirectly in this sector. Would have been a big boost to that. And also, at some level, it shakes investor confidence, right? So, you put so much of money and suddenly overnight, the law changes. Investors don't really like it. Investors like to be told well in advance. And this is not something that, overnight the government uncovered. So, that is one area. Therefore, I am a strong believer that regulation rather than prohibition should be the way forward in these kind of areas.
But talking about the economic fallout, as you just mentioned, jobs are at risk and other things. How do you see that?
I think we have a problem.
And significant investment for sure.
Yeah, I think I've been speaking to some investors. I've been speaking to companies. So the companies are putting up a brave face today. They're going to challenge the law. They're going to see what is going to happen. And some of the talent they've built over 10 years. It's not like they've hired somebody yesterday. They're not college kids, okay? Even, for example, you take 2,000 startups, and on an average, even if you take, the top 100 in each of these startups are, let's say, for example, on an average are very, very good, okay? So 2,000 into 100 is almost like 20,000, 2 lakh people, 100 people in each of these startups. That's a lot of people to be able to reassimilate in the economy. Okay, so that's definitely going to happen. What are they going to do? How are they going to operate? Where are they going to do is a big question mark for them. And I know at least a large number of them will not automatically be able to get in, considering that other tech companies are also laying off. There's so much of uncertainty with Trump and other things. That's one aspect of it. But I think the bigger problem is going to be that in the tech space, are people going to put money in? Okay, I know online gaming has been on one end, but we have issues in other sectors also. Okay, EdTech has kind of had its own problems. Okay, health tech always is on the, because when you put money in, you do expect a return. Okay, but India is very sensitive in sectors which are related to health, education, social play, financial matters, traditional thing. We love saving. We want people to be responsible and so on and so forth. So I think that's one area where I think there could be a fallout, because suddenly if tomorrow something like this is to be done in fintech, there could be a big repercussion, right? So I think the investors have taken this as a jolt, while they don't expect such level of prohibition in other areas, but they do expect that the government at any point of time can come in and regulate and completely change the business model that these companies are playing around.
But do you think these companies will move abroad or take the business somewhere else?
So some of the companies definitely are exploring to take them elsewhere. It's not so easy.
Okay, why? How?
It's not so easy because you have spent 10 years trying to make these games culturally appropriate for India. And that cultural appropriation may not be there for other countries. If I just take, let's say, a game of Rummy, if I just pick it up and I take it to, say, Dubai, okay, something like poker may be more popular there, Rummy, So that entire kind of game structure changes.
It
Okay.
changes, correct.
For example, snakes and ladders we might play here, but we don't play snakes and ladders in other countries. So each country has its own tradition and culture of games that are played, and therefore that might not be so easy for them to be able to go from here to those countries and back.
So, just one thing that I wanted to ask you in the beginning: game of skill and game of chance.
Yes.
Do you think there has been a clear-cut differentiation that was made there in the law? I mean,
In this current law, there
in
is
this
no
current-
differentiation at all.
No.
So if you put money, whether
Why
it is for
so?
a game of skill or game of chance, because I think what the government feels is that the element of money is
Is
what
still
is
there.
causing the people to do things, rather than whether it is for skill or for chance. Now, is that a correct differentiatia? Is it the intelligible categorization between different categories? I am not so sure. Okay, but today the government does not differentiate between skill and chance. It says I have the power to regulate anything which is on the internet, as I am MeitY, and I would like to now regulate any games on which you put money for the purpose of being able to create a prize pool from which you can get a winning amount. So completely
But
they've
it's
sidelined
people's
it.
choice. Don't you think ultimately people can decide on their own whether they want to go and put money and it's their choice. I mean,
I think big debate between freedom of expression, freedom of choice on one side,
Yes.
and social safety and other things. So, for example, every company has got a right to a business or profession in India. Article 19 of our constitution provides for that.
yes.
But Article 19 also says reasonable restrictions can be imposed on that. Now, in the case of areas which are called res extra commercium, which is outside the scope of normal human businesses, the government has got absolute power to prohibit. For example, in Gujarat and Bihar and other states, we have a
Yes.
ban over alcohol. Alcohol is a business, but it's called res extra commercium, right? So they have taken that shelter. But whether games of skill will fall under that category is a big question mark. I'm sure the courts will at some point in time decide that issue. But if it is within res extra commercium, yes, you can go for it. If it is not, I think the government will have more challenges of being able to stop that. But yes, that debate is there. It's a difficult one to kind of determine.
How do you think that we can make gaming safer? Do you think this law is going to make gaming safer?
So two separate questions you asked.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's kind of answer the easier one, whether this law will make gaming safer. Okay. I'm a bit skeptical about it. I think it will definitely protect the players within courts when putting money onto these games. But unless government has an effective mechanism of being able to stop illegal betting, that's going to be difficult. Other problem that I have is some of these are part of human tendency and human nature. Okay, I'm not saying we are bad people because we play games, but this is who we are. We've been playing from Mahabharata's time, okay, and we have seen stories of this. This is part of human nature, okay, and as society evolves, some of these things have to kind of be brought in and then regulated. I'll give you an example. Prior to 1845, tennis was banned in UK. Okay, and the reason tennis used to be banned is because it used to take away time of the servants and the people from archery, because archery was important for the purpose of being able to protect your realm. Okay, now will today same logic apply? Why? Because society has moved on, right? So I think we have to kind of keep up with the times with respect to how we are evolving. So I am not so sure that this ban is going to necessarily be good for the people or for the country in that way. I'm not saying that these are good businesses to have. That then we come to your first question: can it be made safer? I certainly feel it can be made safer. Okay, there are lots of studies being made with respect to how to kind of make it safer. It's more entertainment and less about making money. It is possible that some of the startups have taken this opportunity to maybe make a lot of money by being able to play on an expectation of winning by making the game simple or kind of giving them some kind of a promise or giving them bonus points and things like that. But if you're able to curb the aspects of these games which are not proper by coming with an authority which lays down certain guidelines with respect to how you're supposed to have, how much format, doing KYC upfront, being able to do geofencing, being able to figure out how the players are playing, being able to provide customer service for the purpose of being able to do that, provide them with player support, okay, of being able to talk to the players when they are feeling that they are not there, having periods of time when players are not able to play, okay, they are matching people with experiences which are similar. So there are lots of things that can be done, and a lot of things were being done for the purpose of being able to make these safer. So I certainly believe that there is a place for these games to be played in a safe and a proper manner. Probably not there today. Maybe sometime down the line, the government might realize and might open up and say this is something that we need to kind of allow. But in the meantime, I don't think that by completely banning, we are going to achieve the goals immediately at least, unless government is able to come up with a very good scheme of being able to stop illegal games from being played on these platforms.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and to share the insights. But is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think we are good. I think the next few months will be very interesting. I think there is already a challenge which has been filed in Karnataka. Some companies have said that we were not going to challenge.
Yes.
I think reworking of these games and businesses will be interesting to see. Obviously, the investors want to get something out of them.
A lot of companies are in touch with the government, and there's
Yes.
conversations happening, discussions are happening. Where do you see these discussions
I
going?
can't predict anything right now. I think government has made its point very, very clear, and I think some of them have accepted it. Some of them are redeploying their people. Some of them are redoing things. Some are going to challenge it. I think over the next few months, as things kind of play out in the courts and we get some sense, I think we will find some interesting things to talk about.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure spending time with you.
Thank you.